Hello everybody, this is Dave with Bowhunter Unleashed. So welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we're starting a new adventure. Some of you may have seen few of the hunt videos we got a ton more that's got to be done and put up and get going, but this is all about reloading. This isn't about bow hunting. So obviously, right? So quick background. I spent the last 35 years as a bow hunter. In that 35 years, I may have killed a half a dozen animals with a rifle. That's how serious of a bow hunter I've been. You know, in bow hunting, I really set everything up customized for me. I really put a lot of work and a lot of effort into my setup, into my arrows, into getting the most kinetic energy and the most forward momentum and the right front of center to make sure that my arrows are really flying and really penetrating well. So that why you say, is to make sure that I am harvesting my game and that I am getting my game after shooting my game. I'm not losing those animals. I'm getting great penetration. I'm getting high kill ratios. I'm harvesting what I'm after and I'm not wasting it. So this past year, we decided to do a little family trip for hunting. I'm primarily a hunter. I'm not a big target shooter. I'm not a long range shooter. Okay, so I'm gonna get back into it. I had two boys that's never hunted. I'm gonna take them. We're gonna do a big trip. You know, get them rifles, get them set up, get them going, and then COVID hits. So the illustrious Wuhan flu that we all got struck with, that has shut everything down, that has made ammo go scare us. I mean, everything's gonna scare us. So bad time to get into reloading, right? Of course it is. You can't get anything. So for Christmas, though, my family got me a reloading kit from RCBS. And that just kind of set things on fire for me, because it allows me to do what I love to do, which is customize. Buying off-the-shelf ammo and hunting with it, there's nothing wrong with it. They do a very good job of building ammo in a 308 caliber, Federal does, that you can shove into any 308 and go hunting with it. A 300 Win Mag and go hunting with it. They do a very good job of that. The thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't dial it down and get the most out of the rifle that you're shooting. If I'm going to go harvest game, if I'm going to go hunt game, whether I harvest or not, I want to put forth the most effort that I can to make sure that every round I fire out of whatever rifle it's going to be out of is going to be the optimal performance that I can get to make sure that when I take that shot at that animal, that I'm going to be successful and that I'm going to dispatch that animal as quickly as possible. Now, that being said, I've hunted elk before. I've killed elk with a rifle with off-the-shelf ammo. I have. You know, but I look at things differently than I did those years ago when I did it. So now that they bought me this and have started a new passion for me, obviously, I want to be as good at it as I can be. So I'm kind of titling this, So You Want to Be a Reloader. So this is coming from a new person. You know, our person that's new to reloading, who hasn't even reloaded a shell yet. No, you know, I've always understood what reloading was. I've always known about it. I get why people do it. It's just never been for me. So when I got myself, what do I do? What do I do next? What do I need? So I do what I do best, is I research. Data drives everything for me. So I have data on powder now, spreadsheets on powder, on ballistics of different bullets, different types of bullets with different loads. I've done all the research, right? I've got a place to start. I've got some ideas of where to go. I've met some incredible people in the reloading world, even with the crunch that's on, that are willing to help. The one thing I can say about the reloading community versus other communities I've been a part of, these guys want to help. They want to share their knowledge. And sometimes maybe you don't want to take their advice. Always research yourself. But it's a good place to learn, and they are willing to share. They're even willing to share what they have during these times when things are hard to get. Now, you're probably looking at my bench going, it don't look hard to get to me, just been lucky, all right? We have beat the bushes. We've been in the stores. We have been out. I have been online. It is an every night thing right now to get into reloading. If you're getting into reloading at the end of 2020 and into 2021, it's tough. It's hard to find things. So what do you need to reload? Good question, because I got a lot of stuff. I got the whole Rock Chucker Supreme kit from RCBS, which should be, oh, you think, my wife said, oh, you got everything. You got everything it takes to reload. No, I don't. So what do you need? Well, you need information, and you're going to need load data, and you're going to have people help you. That's just obvious things. And the internet is here. The internet is out there. Just make sure that if you're new to it, which, I hope you are, and I hope you're getting into it. I hope you find a passion for it. But, you got to really put some work and effort into it. What press to buy. I didn't have to make that decision. It was under the Christmas tree. Hey, there's a Rock Chucker 4 RCBS press. It comes with a ton of stuff. Some of the stuff it comes with is the hand primer here. Hey, do I need a hand primer? Do I want a bench mounted primer? Do I want to prime in my there's so many options. Me, I've decided I'm going to do the hand primer. I think that's the way I'm going to go. But there's so many things that a kit don't come with. So obviously the bigger the kit, the more things that's in it. But do you really need everything that's in it? Yes, or it wouldn't be in there. Are you going to use it and not replace it with something else? That's strictly up to you. Can you reload without everything I've gotten so far? Yeah, so what do you need to reload? One, you got to have a press. The other thing is you need components. You need bullets, you need powder, you need brass, and you need primers. You got those 4 things and a press and some dies to press it with, you can make a bullet. I can't guarantee what it's going to do, but we can make a bullet. It is that simple. There are kits that are very small that you can do it all by hand without a massive press and all this stuff, and you can still make a bullet. What are you looking to get out of it? What are you looking to get into? What are you looking to get out of that bullet is what you have to decide. Now look, there are people that they tiptoe into things. You're going to try something new and you tiptoe into it. Obviously, this ain't tiptoeing. I'd swan dive right off the highest cliff I could find. If I'm going to do it, let's go do it. And I got some guidance from my dad, who's doing some reloading in Texas. And so he had a lot of influence, of course, on what the equipment was. It was purchased for me for Christmas. And I'm satisfied. Presses, there's RCBS, there's Hornady, there's Dillon, there's Lyman. I don't know, there's more than that. That's just off the top of my head. So from the press world, there's a whole lot of options. Well, once you get your press, the options that you have after that are astronomical. Again, how are you going to load a primer? What are you going to do? Are you going to use a hand loader? Do you want a bench top primer? They're out there. That's just 2 things. Hey, you got to find brass. Do you want new brass? Do you want once fired brass? And remember, once you buy once fired, use once fired brass, you've got to track that brass. How many times has it been fired? Because you're only going to shoot that brass about 3 times before you have to do something else with it. You're going to have more gear than what comes in a press set. All right, that's what I'm talking about. This gets deep really quick. How good do you want to be? And how far do you want to take it? And what do you want to get out of it? If you're just looking to do ammo for hunting season, you probably don't need a whole lot. In fact, buy off-the-shelf ammo. They make good stuff. All right? So you got your press. Next, you got to have some dies. What dies? What is a die set? What does it mean? I didn't know. I had to learn. What does a FL die set for a 7mm mag from RCBS mean? Well, that's a full-length die set. Oh, by the way, you got to have a shell holder. Well, how do I know what size shell holder? Well, luckily with RCBS, it tells you on their boxes. So that needs a shell holder number 4. I don't have my glasses on, but that's what it says. So I need a shell holder. Well, what is a shell holder? That doesn't make sense. I got a press. What do I need a shell holder for? You got to have a press. You got to have the dies. And you got to have that shell holder to hold that bullet in that press right there. So there you go. That's some shell holders. See, I've already got multiple. And the other thing, I always like to have backup, so I went ahead and bought 2 of each except for the one. I'm still looking for another number 3 there, and I still need 2 number 10s I haven't been able to get because they're just hard to find. So that's for a 223 and a 6.5 Creed mortar is what I need the shell holders for. Shell holders, by the way, work on multiple size shells or multiple caliber shells. So one shell holder may work across 3 or 4 different types of bullets that you may want to load. That's great. If not, and you're like me, and I've only got one pistol one on here, which is a 45 Colt right now. I don't have a 45 for my 45 auto. I don't have a 380. I don't have a 9mm yet. Don't have the 223 in yet. You know, hey, that's still 4 more sets of dies that I know I got to buy. So you get that little bit. Well, you got to have powder. Well, what powder? Well, EBGs. Well, I don't know. There's Norma. There's Alient. There's Ramshot. There's some Hodgkin Hornady Superformance powder. I mean, what brand do you want to shoot? Research. So I've done a lot of research. Hodgkin and IMR is probably 2 of the most populars that are out there that people know in the reloading world that a lot of people use. But you can't buy it right now. So what are my options? Data, research. And you got to figure that out. Help from other people and suggestions from other folks. Plenty of reloading forums out there on MeWe. You can pick up a lot of people and meet people on Instagram, which I have. Actually had a phone conversation with one of the guys last night or night before for about 2 hours. I sent him a picture yesterday. He immediately called me and said, hey, go ahead and take that, put that up. Don't fool with it. For where you're headed, you're going to want to go get this to replace it. Hey, that's great. I can run out. I know my local Bass Pro right now has got in stock exactly what we were talking about. So I can go do that now. And hey, it made sense to me. You know, they give you case lube and a case lube pad, but then you read about, be careful, or hear about, be careful, don't over lube. You're going to cause an issue. Well, how do you know? You're brand new, right? So that was the conversation we had yesterday, was about getting away from that and using something else and that would help me not over lube my cases. Again, back to powder. You know, you've got a pound of powder or 8-pound jug of powder, whatever you get your hands on. How do you measure it out? Well, with the kit, mine did come with the old school manual scale. I knew right away that probably wasn't the best thing for me. So pick up the phone, make the phone call to Dad and say, hey, how do you measure your powder? Well, he told me what he used. I said, I've already been looking at that. So here it is. Charge Master, Supercharge Master Pro, RCPS. Look, this thing right now is probably a computer within itself, but once we go to utilize it, once I'm running multiple loads across different rifles, you can program this thing, it measures out, blah, blah, blah. Great. Makes my life easier. I'm all about it. So now I've gone from a $50 scale, which is back there behind all of that, to here. I think I got this for like $319. So for $319, automatic scale trickler router, and put powder out, measure it out for me, and all I got to do is dump it in, right? And then where do you get this stuff? Where do you start? Well, I'll go ahead and tell you. Natchez Shooter Supply, Mid-South, Midway USA, Bass Pro Shops Cabela's has some stuff. Academy before COVID used to carry quite a bit of stuff. In fact, I was in there the other day. I see they were getting some Hornady products back in. So, for everything you get, there are other things that go along with it. Bullets, it just sounds simple. There's some Nosler, there's some Berger, there's some Hornady. Wow. That's 6.5 Creed, 30 cal. So, you get these. Okay, I got bullets. But wait a minute. What's a bullet comparator for? And I got brass, but what do I need a headspace gauge for? When you start shooting and you start reloading, you start realizing that brass don't last forever. And you need to check that brass, right? So that are things that you have to learn. And how much of these things do I really need to do what I want to do? Well, like I said, I dive off a cliff. Swan dive, wings folded back, head first, cut the feet off. I don't plan on swimming. I plan on diving in and just staying under and just getting after it, right? So for every person, you have to decide how far you want to take this. And obviously, I'm taking it a little far, right? I mean, haven't loaded yet, but here we are. You find things like this stand that I have my press mounted to by Inline Fabrication, which I'm already glad I did, right? But I researched, I saw somebody else, what is that? And then finally I saw something that said, what's Inline Fabrication? So I checked those guys out. Man, they make fantastic things to go along with your reloading and as accessories, and they'll help you out, make it simpler. So why not? This particular stand here, I can take the press off and just pick the press up, take it out, put something else on the stand and do something else where that press is at without having to have 3 and 4 things mounted to my workbench. By the way, I didn't have a workbench. How big does the workbench need to be? I mean, there are guys who use little bitty things. There are guys who have big L-shaped garages, you know, with L-shaped deals with full stuff. What do you need? So I built a bench. You build a bench and you're inside and you realize, man, this stuff is going to require a lot of light. So I got to have more light. So adding lights and adding things like, you know, this right here so you can have extra light. Lights over there so you can see lights over there so you can see light under here where you see the green light, where the tumbler is. Oh, by the way, yeah, I got to tumble my brass. What do you mean I got to tumble my brass? What's a tumbler? So there's a tumbler and tumbler media. And then on top of that, you got to put something in with the tumbler media to make the brass shiny. Do I want to do wet tumble? Well, what's wet tumble? I barely knew what dry tumble was. Now I know a lot about wet tumble, and I'm headed in that direction. I've already got it figured out. We're going there. And that's not all the ways to clean brass. So just where do you go? So if you're getting into this new like I am, and you're getting a little overloaded and frustrated, I understand. So I am going to do a series based on just what we're talking about. New guy, don't know what you're doing, trying to figure it out, right? So look for more of those to come because it's going to get interesting. You know, you got your brass, you got your bullets, primers. Primers have been the big thing this year. Nobody can find primers. So what's a primer? Well, it's the little thing that actually makes it all work and go bang. So there's 1,000 large rifle primers, match primers from Federal. All of that up there is primers that we have managed to amass by being on top of the stores and things when they come in, getting out and making sure that we're getting them. And I'm gonna tell you what, you're gonna have to involve your friends, your family, or something when you try to get the stuff that's short. Hey, they've got them. I'm in line. Get up here, right? I mean, I've made that phone call. And don't be afraid to get your fair share. You know, I hear a lot of people going, oh, you need to leave some behind. I was in a store not too long ago. I was in there getting powder. And the guy that was in there runs that section. I've been talking to him a lot. He's like, I reached up there and I grabbed a couple things of powder down. And he's like, don't leave it. If you want that other one that's up there, I said, well, I like to leave one. He said, don't. Because the other guy is not going to leave any for anybody. They're going to come, you know, he said, in this reloading world, you get what you can get when you can get it. Because that might be all you get for a while, right? So there you go. So don't be afraid to go out there and just buy your stuff up. You know, Hornady's got a lot of lock and load stuff. When we talk about bullet comparators and headspace gauges and stuff like that, they have the whole lock and load series. For that, what is that? How does it work? I've been studying. I've already been buying parts. I've got the modified cases. What's a modified case? First time I saw, how hard does it get brass? There's one right there. And then I looked at the price and I said, brass is that expensive. I don't need it. It's a modified case. All right. So what do you need a modified case for? What do you need a trimmer for? What do you need a case prep center for? And on the trimmers, do I want the automatic one, you know, the powered one, or do I want one that you do manual? I mean, what do you want? Or what do you need, rather, right? What do you need for what you're doing? Or what do you need for your budget? Because the budget goes crazy really quick. You get some of the basics, and then, you know, you're like, what do I need? You know, reloading books. Well, reloading books, I was lucky that there's a Nosler one that came with. It's not the most up-to-date Nosler. There's one, it's this edition 8. There's another edition 9 out right now. This is a Nosler book. This is a Burger book. I've got a Hornady book over there. I've got Hodgkin's annual magazine of reloading and powder stuff over there. Right now, I got to get the Spear one. I'm going to be looking at some Spear bullets. So I want to get their book. And in fact, I was in my RCBS, one of my RCBS manuals, and it suggested, hey, go to the Spear reloading manual and start there. I thought, cool, all right. And after talking to my friend I'm meeting now down in Louisiana, he was the same way. Hey, go get the Spear one also. It's worth it. How many of these do you need? It's like going to college. I sit here at night sometimes with 3 books and a magazine and the computer on over here to my left, and on my desk there, and I've got everything set up, and I'm studying. I'm studying loads, and I'm studying, how much powder, what brass did they use, what primer did they use? Did they use a large rifle? Did they use a Magnum rifle, small rifle? What are they doing to achieve the ballistics and the performance they're getting out of their books? Now, I have to admit, I've never shot Nosler before, but I really like their book. I really like the information that's in it. It really helps a lot with the way they break things down to me, and they give you data sets to look at. So, you've got a press, you've got your powder measure, whatever that's going to be. Now you've got your modified cases, and you've got your headspace gauges and your bullet comparators, and you've got your trim, and you've got your concentricity tool for checking bullet run out. I'm like, what's bullet run out? There's so much to this if you want to really get the most out of your load and be really consistent, especially at long ranges. If you're hunting 100, 200 yards, I mean, maybe even 300, like I said, if that's all you're doing, hey, go get it off the shelf. They make good ammo. Hornady and AccuBond and Nosler with their AccuBond bullets, and they all these guys they all make good ammo. They just can't tweak that ammo to perform out of your specific rifle, and that's the reason when you are trying to do that, you shoot this ammo. Oh, my gun don't like Remington ammo. It may not like that version of Remington ammo, but you may go get another box of Remington ammo and it may love it. It may like federal premium over federal whatever. You just have to find what it likes. But now you're out buying a bunch of different bullets to try and do what we can do right here. Then, okay, it's time to put it all together. And now I'm realizing bullet seating depth. I just thought the press decided that. I didn't realize that there's different variations of how far you can put the bullet down in there to how that bullet performs, and trying to find those specific spots. Ladder testing. What is ladder testing? Well, I was confused. I mean, I climb a ladder all the time for work, but what is ladder testing, right? Well, I know to test my ladder before I climb on it. Well, basically, this is the same thing. It's testing your bullet, right? So it's testing your bullet with different modifications made to it to find that sweet spot for your rifle. Just to try and break it down and make it simple, you do a lot of shooting. So if you like to shoot a lot, this is where it's at. If you're going to do all this, you got to know how fast that bullet's running when you're done to be able to plug it into a program to give you how it drops and to give you that energy and let you know what it's doing. I mean, my goal is to not just have a fast bullet. I want that bullet, I don't want it to hit like a tennis ball at 400 yards. I want it to hit like a 20-pound sledgehammer when it hits them at 400 yards. So I'm trying to figure out, my goal is to get that maximum foot-pound of energy and that terminal velocity out of a said bullet, out of a said rifle, so that when I hit that animal, he's going down. We're not going to do a lot of tracking. That's the goal. The goal is to not have to track them. I mean, it's all about bullet placement. I get it. But you can hit them with some lightweight bullets that don't have a lot of foot-pound of energy in the right place, and you can still spend a long time tracking. So it's not always just shot placement. Shot placement is going to get the job done, but are you going to have to track him a mile? Are you going to have to track him 2 miles? And thinking about that, when you talk about elk and game like that, you better hope they're headed to camp when you have to start tracking and not the opposite direction, because you're adding a lot of distance and travel and pack time to have to pack that animal out. So, exactly, just sit down and figure out what you as a newbie want and where you want to start, because you can get caught up in this real quick. Now, it's easy to say that I got caught up in it. No, not really. I full well knew that the minute I opened that box where I was going, because I haven't shot in a long time. And I do know how to shoot, and I have been trained how to shoot. So I'm about to get out and have some fun. I'm not gonna just hunt. I've already got plans. I already know I'm going to a long range rifle. I'm already picking it out. Not that I can't go long range with the rifle. Oh yeah, by the way, it helps when you get the rifle for Christmas too. So I got that rifle. I got a rifle I can go to 1,000 yards. I got one in the gun save right now. It's a 1,000-yard rifle all day long that I've had for several years. Different calibers, but I can get out that far for long range shooting and go have fun. We do have ranges. That's the other thing. Where are you going to shoot at? Well, for us, we do have several options for rifle ranges. Going from 3 to 5, 600, and even one, I had to drive a little bit to get to it, but there is one that we can go to that shoots to 1,000 yards within a reasonable drive time. So you have to take all that. Where are you going to test all this at? So that's the best place to find a test. We were just talking the other night with some guys, and we're talking about, with all the carbon fiber stocks and stuff that are out, about shooting lead sleds and people weighting things down too much. And that's a whole nother topic, but I shoot off of bags. When I did shoot rifle, I shot off of bags. The reason why was it wasn't exactly the kind of shooting that you needed to be doing, toting a tripod with you or something like that to try and set up. Where you're going to be at and how you're going to be set up. Bags was always the way to go. So all of that comes into play. Now, you got all of this, you're going to step your game up on your gun maintenance too. So remember, there's a lot of stuff that you probably don't have for really cleaning and taking care of those rifles that you're probably going to want to buy. Now, if it's a bolt action rifle, I get it's pretty simple. But if you're working off an AR frame, excuse me, or something like that, you're going to put some maintenance into it. It's going to take a little bit. So if you don't have all of that already, which you might, then you're going to be also adding to that. You're going to add to it. You're just going to add to it. If you get into this and you're going to take it serious, there's a lot of things we're going to be adding. I am not done. I have 2 pages already. 2 pages of things that I still need to buy to reach the level I want to be at in reloading. And in saying that, I had never heard of an annealer. Annealer now. What is that? Looked it up. First one I ran across, I'm like, well, we won't be buying that. That I can assure you. Well, found one that's made here in the States. It's reasonably priced by Neil's. And I think they're like $275. But one of the guys I talked to, he says, look, I'm just going to be honest. I turn the lights out, I get a torch, I still get in there and do it by hand. So annealing is part of making sure that you can use that case past 2 or 3 times. You're going to have to anneal this brass if you want to get 6, 7 reloads out of it. And that's saying if you don't overload it and split your casing because you have overloaded it with powder. So just think about where you want to go and get the data. Get the books. Look, guys, these things are a wealth of knowledge that these bullet companies have already went out and tried a vast array of powders for you with their bullets. And they tell you, hey, we're using Hornady brass, or it's Lapua brass, or it's Winchester brass, or it's Federal brass. That's there. It gives you an idea. Now, when you start buying once fired brass and use brass, you kind of get what you get. You're going to get, most of the time, you're going to get mixed brands. So having that tight control over that brass, for an everyday person, I get if you're a competition shooter, they want everything precisely exactly the same. They have to be picky. But when you go price Lapua brass and realize that the brass is costing you more than $1 a piece, and you used to only paying about $1.25 a round at the store, that's pretty tough to swallow. So think about it. You want to make that brass last as long as you can. So you're going to need all those tools and all the things it takes to get the life out of the brass. The idea behind reloading is to be able to reuse that brass. I used to say all the time, people say, why you shoot a bow so much? Oh, that's simple. I can buy a dozen arrows and shoot them 10,000 times, 20,000 times until I lose it or destroy it. It's good, right? Once you pull the trigger and send a bullet down range, you're not getting it back. But you don't get the bullet back, you don't get the primer back, and you don't get the powder back. It's all gone. But you do get to reuse the brass. So that is the goal that you have to look at and say, how many times do I want to shoot that brand new brass? Am I going to shoot it 3 times and throw it away because now it's over lengthened and it's too long and it won't feed my gun anymore? Oh yeah, by the way, that does happen. So that's what trimmers are for. So do I really want to go to the expense of buying a trimmer and learning how to trim and do all that measuring? How many times you want to reuse the brass? So with all that said, good luck. Enjoy. And if you like puzzles, this is the granddaddy of them all because there's more pieces and more combinations than you can ever possibly put together. I talk to people who's been doing this 20, 30 years, and they are still trying things out. I like it. I got some time left, so I'm going to try a few things out. So with all that, enjoy, have a good time, and see you next time. Please and thank you.